Well, it's still here talking about the hidden genius in our schools. You could have genius in your house. You could have your son, your daughter, but something is happening that you probably are not paying critical attention to. And that's why we're bringing this conversation to you. Dr. Martin Bloomfield is founder, director, Beyond Inclusion Limited in the United Kingdom. Joins us via Zoom. We still have Rosalind Abigail Chirenate in the studios with us. She's founder, Africa Dyslexia Organization. Alexa Mankwa is executive director, Top Performance Institute, Neurolinguistic Programming and practitioner. They all are joining us here in the studio. Let's go back to Zoom and let's talk about, well, we started talking about how to change the narrative. Beyond the teacher training, which of course you can touch on, Doc, there's always the awareness and what also governments can do by way of policy. If you want to lump all of them up, and let's see how, of course you spoke about the two approaches that we can use, but let's speak more about how to change the narrative and what to do as we do that.
Yeah, thank you. So there is actually a lot of research on this. Again, not to be too boring and geeky, but there's a lot of research that shows that the way that we refer to dyslexic people and the way we refer to dyslexia actually has a measurable effect on how well the dyslexic people do. So if you refer to dyslexia as something like a medical condition or a deficit, to the dyslexic kids do worse at school. If you refer to dyslexia a different way on the earth, is you feel bad about yourself. And this negative attitude that people have makes the dyslexic kids feel bad about themselves. So one of the things we can really do, and it's a really easy win, we can listen to the language that we use. So we shouldn't talk about, is there a diagnosis of dyslexia? Because that's a bit medicalized. We shouldn't talk about dyslexia as a disability, because again, that's a medicalized kind of language. What we should talk about is dyslexia as a different way of thinking. And indeed it is. Your brain is shaped slightly differently, and the neural pathways point in slightly different directions. And what this means is literally you process information differently, or in layperson's terms, you think differently. So all we need to do is start thinking about it. Well, not all we need to do, but the most important thing is to start thinking about it in terms of difference rather than deficiency. Because a lot of the time when you're at school, you get your sense of value from how people refer to you, how they relate to you. Then you get your sense of value by the low grades that you get. And so these dyslexic kids are getting a low sense of value from the very beginning, and that demotivates them from learning. So as the adults, it's our responsibility, our moral responsibility to say, okay, so how can we refer to you? How can we think about you in a more positive way? And in that case, how can we wrap our arms around you and encourage you rather than push you away?
Yeah, sounds comforting, I must say. Sounds very comforting. There are a lot of excuses given. Number, size of class is one, where lots of children. Where I taught first, numbers are as huge as you could have 40 to 50 pupils in the class at the same time. Yet, on the other side is the school itself also giving you a list of exercises, homeworks, tests you have to give, and assignments you have to give within a period. If you don't do that, you are lazy. And so that is also what cultivates the laziness in some teachers to want to say that, look, this approach would be best if it even to the detriment of these other students. Talk to me about what the approach is if we have to deal with numbers, the size of class. Is there any particular, I know we cannot exhaust that, but any thoughts on that?
Yes. Well, the number of districts that we have visited to have trainings and interactions done for teachers. We've had contact with about 40,000 teachers across the country. And these issues prominently come up.
Right.
The class size and all that, how to manage them. Yeah. And the issues they raise also have to do with some of the supervisors and their lack of knowledge and information in the area. And so we look at the conventional way, the number of exercises and why this person is not doing well, and they have to. But then it is very important for policy framers and for educational managers to have some level of training and awareness, as Rosalind mentioned. Then it will stream down. We can talk about NACA, for instance. And so they have brought up the curriculum. And in the curriculum is a wonderful document. And when it is assimilated well, and we put it on the ground to relay the information in it, to really teach and implement it, going to the ground, it will be really effective. Because it's touching on the 3 strands of literacy, as I mentioned. It's talking on behavioral, it's talking on values, it's talking about social, it's talking about emotional, and all that. But even when it comes to the academics, it has broken it down to the extent that there is differentiation. So we have differentiated learning, differentiated instruction in the curriculum. We have scaffolding in the curriculum, meaning that if I start a work with you, I may complete earlier. You may not be able to because of your level and your abilities, but you come up little by little, just as they create a scaffolding arrangement to do any other work here. But when officers come to do inspection, it's a straitjacket. How many exercises have you done? Why haven't you? And so teachers also are burdened, and they are not able to implement it quite well. We need to look at these structures where we have infused them in the curriculum. Now we are even doing the learner-centered pedagogies as per the instruction we're giving. But then when it comes to assessment, we have universal design for learning. But then are we also using universal design for assessment? So that we can create, we have the disparity, the differences are there. Neurological diversity is there. So we should know that all of us cannot climb this tree at the same time and get to the top at the same time. So if we put in the differences as per the differentiated instruction, and it's well structured, and there's a meaning that if Rosalind is able to get 80% in mathematics per all her assignments, and I am getting 40%, you don't have to compare me with Rosalind. That is academic.
I see.
But then, and then if she's able to read, she's a prolific reader, she's so fluent, and I'm not capable. Let's look also at the multiple intelligences, where some are logic, math intelligence, some are linguistic intelligence, some are naturalistic intelligence. We have all these ones in the visual spatial intelligence, and the person will be able to now, based on his or her intelligences, have his or her education wrote down quite well. When we do not do it that way, and again, using the universal design for learning approach, so that we have multiple means that the teacher should represent the lessons, not just one way. Then we have multiple means by which the children should have their actions and expressions given. So if this is the way that I can give the answer, that's the way you're assessing me. If we don't do it that way, and we put all of them together, and we match them to the front of BEC and WASI, a lot of them will be laying back.
I see.
And they will not be able to climb along with us.
Right. You want to say, I see you have notes there that you want to share with that. Rosalind, share them with us.
I would just add to what Alex may just finish summing up, that in this country, we are very good in coming up with policies, strategies that could work.
Right.
But when it comes to the practicality, like he said, that is where there is a huge gap. And I would use our current inclusive education policy as an illustration, for example, which started in 2016 or 2015. But in 2025, we just finished training over 700 teachers. And in our pre-survey, asked how many of them have been able to read the policy. And I will tell you, there is so many teachers who said they haven't read it.
Yeah, right.
So how is it that a policy that you want a teacher to implement in their approach of supporting students from 2015 to 2025, if a teacher is saying, I haven't read it, Even if it's one teacher, we have failed. But there were a lot of them who said they haven't. And so, yes, we will do the policies, but we need to look at how do we get those policies to the teacher in where internet is not even accessible. They understand it, they have the resources to implement it. This is where the chain break when it comes to the implementation of it, and then the resources that the teacher can use. And so I'm calling on our education stakeholders who are in charge of this, even before the policies and the strategies are put in place. I would wish to see some of the teachers that we are engaging as part of the people that are helping to shape those policies and strategies, because they know what we sitting in Accra don't know. And they are the true ones that can tell us the way we can do it and how we can get it.
I see.
And then once it's done, we have to make enough resources to be able to train them, understand, and supply them with materials so they can support our learners.
I see. Doc, final words before we go. Is there any thoughts you want to share further before we let you go?
Yes, thank you. Rosalind is absolutely right. The first thing we need to do is raise awareness of the policies. We also need to raise awareness of what dyslexia is. For instance, I was considered a failure at school, and now I have a PhD and I run a company. So dyslexia is not a lack of intelligence. So we need to raise this awareness. Once we've raised the awareness, we break the stigma. When we break the stigma, we break the fear. Because let's be honest, a lot of people are a little bit nervous of, we've got dyslexic kids in our schools. What do we do with this? Once we've done that, putting in place the training policies, the teaching policies, as Alex was saying, differentiation. We talked earlier about structured phonics and morphological awareness. Once we've done that, it becomes relatively, I wouldn't say easy, but it becomes awareness of what dyslexia is, so that we can break that stigma, so that the kids who are stigmatized don't feel so devalued.
Absolutely. Samankwa, in about a minute, final words.
Yes, two things that I would say. One, we as a country, we haven't known the implications of unidentified and unsupported learning disabilities, especially with dyslexia. If we know, we would wake up. Because if the facts and figures given as worldwide, 10% of children struggling with dyslexia. When we talk about Ghana and we are 30 million, it means we have 3 million. Is that not it? 10% of it. 10% coming out of the classroom, getting into the streets, getting into the shanties and all that. In the end, we are grooming terrorists in our own country.
Yeah.
We are grooming rapists. We are grooming demonstrators who don't even know about the reason why they're demonstrating. We are armed robbers and all that. So these are the huge figures that we're coming out with into our country unknown, because we don't know the implications of what we're talking about. And secondly, I would urge that, as my sister Rosalind said, the policymakers, NACA and the likes, when they are putting in any framework in the curriculum, they should invite some of the stakeholders who are in these areas so that they could be of support. Because what they have put there as differentiation, scaffolding and the likes is for the regular approach. When it comes to dyslexia and learning disabilities, the scaffolding and the differentiating methods are quite different.
I see.
So they should also open up for certain kind of presentations and training so that they can incorporate some of these ideas.
Now, that would be a dent if they've not gone further to do that. In putting up a curriculum, you've not gone further to engage stakeholders, to pick thoughts, to reflect.
They do engage stakeholders, but let me tell you, as we're talking about dyslexia alone, we have about 18 different types.
No, I'm saying you have to go further. You should know better.
Yes.
People must tell you that when you pick one learning challenge, there are more. If they are not able to tell you and it does not reflect, there's a dent on you. And of course, you need to be called out to go back.
It doesn't reflect.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Final words in about a minute.
Oh, thank you so much for the time you've given us. For us, everybody who spoke today, it will be at the Africa Dyslexia Conference.
Okay.
And we have 12 different masterclass workshops happening at the conference, tackling different topics. We have keynote speakings from renowned experts on learning differences. And so we invite the general public, all education stakeholders to be there. Go on our website, africadyslexia.org, register and be there and learn, get something out and participate so that we are able to support our learners in our school and our neurodiverse people in our workplaces. I believe every child can learn, every child has the potential, but it is up to us to help them identify that unique talents, skills, and abilities that are within them. So we wouldn't have many people falling out as they have already. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that's Rosalind Abigail Chernate, is founder of Africa Dyslexia Organization via Zoom. We had Dr. Martin Bloomfield, founder director, Beyond Inclusion Limited, United Kingdom, of course. Mr. Alex Amanko also joined us in studio, executive director, Top Performance Institute, and he's also a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. We're grateful that all of you can join us. Thank you very much for your time. And also to you, we're grateful that you can join us. A quick one, there's a birthday that was sent by Biadela, from Biadela to Dennis Osei Jemfi. Today's your birthday. Happy birthday. And this coming from Biadela, my co-host, wherever you are. Get well soon. Well, we're back tomorrow to do it all over again. It's been a wonderful time. I'm sure you've learned something and you've gained a knowledge that is going to help you get a better life, right? Or take a better step, make a better decision. That's all we want. That's all TV is all about. My name is Kokulumo. We're back tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye.